Welcome to That's a Tuesday Thing, the show where we get into the Word on Thursday and the world on Tuesday. I'm Cody King,
And I am Benjamin Sinkler.
and today we're getting into something that's really pertinent, especially with the House vote to release the Epstein files. But we got to address something first.
Yes, we got an email recently. It says earlier in the last Tuesday cast, it was said that government should only punish evil and reward good, and the church should be meeting the needs of the people. However, by the end of the show, it seemed like you convinced each other that local government should be the ones caring for the widow and the orphan, and that the answer to helping the community was to get out and run for local office. So, the question is, which is it?
Yeah.
That's a very hard one for me to answer because I actually go back and forth on that a lot. I think that if it's just my thought is that if the church isn't going to do what actually needs to be done as far as helping people and helping them get back on their feet and not just handing out money and not just doing a food drive, and it's helpful to do those things, but I don't think that is going to, it's just not reliable, I don't think, and not reliable enough. And so if the church isn't going to be reliable in that way and not do what's needed to just get people back on their feet, then I guess it's left up to the government to do it. And if the government is going to do it, then I feel that locally run programs would be ideal.
See, I started thinking about that, and because of this comment, and I did go back. We really talked ourselves into a circle. We talked ourselves into a circle going back to the idea that, you know what, maybe government can help us out. And I think historically, even local welfare programs are bad policy for the long run.
Really?
Yeah. Local welfare programs in historical context don't pan out the way they're supposed to. I was really thinking about this feedback. Thank you, by the way, for that email. This is our first one that we actually had to chew on, so we're grateful for it. I was thinking, and I was talking it through, and we were on to something, but in our talking ourselves into a circle, we didn't really communicate a point very well. Like, it was on the tip of it. I don't think we had gotten there just yet, but I would like to reemphasize that if the church is to be discerning and diligent in the stewardship of our resources, then those who have the resources to go out and purchase the unsellable food from the supermarket, from the local farmer, like we were talking about, investing in the local agriculture, investing in the local food market, then we can take that money, or we can take that food, and we can put it into the hands of those who need it, right? Those who are working to get off their feet, right? Because everybody needs a handout, right? I can think of a few people in my life who need a handout once in a while in their life. But
I think a handout is useful to just as a sustaining thing, but that's not going to get someone back up on their feet. And sustained handouts are really not going to get people on their feet.
Right. And that's where policy becomes bad, right? Welfare programs are not good policy for the long run. The issue is that that's what people see because the church isn't being diligent with their resources in the local market, right? That's not saying the church isn't diligent in other areas, but in the local market, we're not. Now, this is where the local government comes in, because you and I, we're not always gonna, guys like you and I, we're not financially rolling in it. We can't go out to the supermarket and buy them out. We can't go to the local farmer and say, "Hey, give me all your corn, give me all your beef that you can't sell, give me all your chicken." We don't live. Well, you live out in the country. I live in town. We live in an HOA. We can't really have chickens. They don't like that. Um, that's where guys like you and I, we don't have the financial resources, but but what do we do have? What do we have? We have our time, and we have our voices, and we have our hearts to put into service. So we mentioned before that we have both driven down to Denver to pick up food for our local food bank. That's one way. But in the context of local government, no, local government is not going to save you. Getting involved in local government is not going to replace the acts of the church being the hands and feet of Christ for the welfare of the nation, for the welfare of the city that you're in. As the passage in Jeremiah says, hang on.
All right.
But guys like you and I, getting involved in local politics is a way of preventing bad policy from affecting the church in its ability to provide for the need.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't. Now I don't know. Like, I don't think the government has restricted the church much. I think that in the church, we usually come at things from more of an emotional perspective of like, we want to go out there and hand out soup cans to people, and that's great because like it's needed in a way, but it's, I don't know that it works the way that we want to think it does, because they're going to have to come back next time and the time after that. And there's some people that unfortunately that's probably going to be just how it is. But for a majority of people, especially a lot of the people that are on welfare programs right now, you talk about the government is not going to replace the church. Well, I don't think there's anything to replace in some areas, really. If all the church is doing is handouts and stuff. I think my thought is that the welfare system isn't doing it right because it allows people to just stay on for longer and longer without any like pressure to get off.
Yes.
And like it should be kind of embarrassing to be on some kind of welfare, especially if you can go out and get a job.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's how the government is replacing the church, because the church has the concept of he who won't work won't eat, right? The church has that. The government doesn't, and that's where the person who's not going out and buying the food, the person who's not driving down for the food bank, that's where he gets involved in local politics, because he can advocate for a better allocation of that resource, right? Yeah. Going towards better law enforcement, preventing the crime, right? Keeping drugs off the streets, right? People aren't spending all their money on drugs so the church can meet the need of, hey, you need food for your family. Okay, you're working hard, Dad. You're working hard, Mom. You're doing your best to keep food on the table. All right, we're gonna step in. We're gonna help move you towards stability, because we're the hands and feet of Christ. The government. Yeah. That's how the government's trying to replace the church. That's why communism doesn't work, is because in history, because the government replaces God, replaces the church, institutes itself inside of the church, circumventing the policy of he who doesn't work won't eat. In fact, and making that government policy, meaning the government gets to decide who eats, rather than the church having compassion and saying, because you're made in the image of God, I'm going to help you get on your feet. I can't help you if you're not going to help yourself. That's compassion. If the government does it, it's coercion, right?
Yeah. Now, I did just have an interesting thought about, because I think one of the biggest problems with when the church does things is that it's not consistent. Like maybe they do something every single week, but it's not. You can't really count on that happening, and that's why people turn to the government for help, and I think you would have to have a way to make it reliable that the church is going to provide for this stuff, like that you can't be just hoping that the church that's doing this doesn't split apart, because if the church that's doing these programs splits apart and it's over, then that is why people are going to go to the government.
That's a whole nother Tuesday thing, buddy. Is that if we are to stick to what Scripture says, we're to be united in the love of Christ, if we're to be guided by the Word of God, and to not bicker over the little differences.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I think you can baptize a baby by sprinkling water. I think you shouldn't baptize babies. Whatever, dude.
Yeah, we need to be united.
Let's focus on the big things. Do we agree that Jesus Christ died for my sins? Absolutely. Do I believe that to follow him is to refrain from sexual immorality, to refrain from devoted to idols, right? Because this is an Acts, right? 3 main things, 3 or 4. 3. I know 3, so I'm going to say 3.
Like that's a whole thing. Like
yeah,
just,
it's an
just
Acts,
random.
no, it's like the Gentile converts, right? Don't have the law, don't have the Jewish law, so the apostles were talking about how do we get them to be Christian? What does that even mean? They're not circumcised, they don't do burnt offerings, they don't tithe. What do we do? Well, they said, okay, 3 things. No idols. 4 things. No idols, no sexual immorality, don't eat food sacrificed to idols, and don't eat food with blood in it.
What do you believe? Are you like? Do you do those last 2 things? Like you don't? Like how would you know? I guess like is that still?
I'm becoming more aware of it, especially as I read more scripture. Especially as I read that and I start to understand like why you're not supposed to eat blood.
Okay.
Right?
Well, why? What about like food sacrificed to idols? Because I don't really prefer just eating blood at all.
So there's also scripture where Paul talks about this, and he's like, you know what? If you're not convicted about food sacrificed to idols, don't worry about it.
Okay.
But then it doubles down to, but someone else has a conviction of it. Don't eat food but your brother has a conviction of it. Don't eat food sacrificed to idols, lest you make him stumble.
Right.
So it's this thing about convictions helping each other. That's what the church is missing. And that's one of the things that the church is missing is our convictions are to help each other get closer to the truth. If we can agree on the basics that Jesus Christ, number 1, died for our sins, that he was fully man, fully God, died and was resurrected, that's chief. If we are to agree that that is the message that we're to preach, that we are all sinners, then we can start walking closer to Christ. And the closer we get to Christ, the closer we get to the truth. And to your point is, do we rely on the church because churches are liable to split? That's what Satan's wanting us to worry about. That's what Satan wants us to think. Okay, we can't rely on the church because the church is liable to split. The
issue is that that's true though.
Yeah.
Is the unfortunate thing.
Yeah.
So if the churches, if different denominations even that are still believing the same basic truths, if different denominations like that are going to split up over infant baptism or believers baptism and stuff like that, then you're going to have to count on the government no matter what. Like as long as you keep doing that, as long as we keep being so weak that we have to just be in our own little box, then you're going to have to rely on the government. I think that's where I'm at now.
Dude, I don't think I disagree. I think that's the challenge for us is to be the change, right?
Yeah.
Is to be able to advocate for a unified body, so that we can meet the poor, the sick, and the orphan in their affliction, and that the government doesn't have to fill that absence, that doesn't have to fill our abdication.
Yeah, I really hope that our generation, especially our generation of believers, is as at least a little bit as sick as I am of denominations that all believe the same basic truths that just won't cooperate otherwise.
Right.
I think, yeah, like I'm excited to see what our generation starts to do now that we're all getting out in the world.
Dude, I'm excited to see what we're about to do.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. So we're recording this when this episode releases. It will be we're hoping to get it released before the vote in the House of Representatives on the Epstein files. So we're and that's the hope, is that we talk about big things. So again, thank you for that comment. Thank you for that email and that feedback. We hope we answered your question. You helped us improve and to really think about how we what we say.
I think that might have been my favorite talk so far.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So those
Epstein.
the e-files. That
E-files.
might just be what we call this episode. The
Oh.
E-files, not the X-files, the E-files.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Epstein list, the list that has been in the government's possession since he was indicted and arrested back in 2019. 2018 actually is what this says. Little backstory: Jeffrey Epstein was a serial financer. He had a lot of money, and he was the money behind a lot of guys with money. Some big names, some big friends from across the Atlantic. Actually, he was good friends, it seems, with Prince Andrew of the British royalty.
Nice.
Yeah, he dang, man, so I'm looking at a timeline here, and it says that this story is going back 20 years.
Oh, all right.
2005 was when he was first charged with soliciting prostitution. And if you're listening to this with kids, we'll probably put a little warning, because this is big stuff. But we're not going to use any vivid detail. We're just going to use the official terms.
Okay.
But yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. Ben, what do you know about him?
Honestly, I don't know a lot. I just know that the idea is that he had an island. He maybe, I don't know if it was with someone else, but he had this island, and from what I know, it was just children and that kind of prostitution going on the island. That's pretty much the extent of what I know, and that there's a list of people who went there. I don't even know how that's a thing. That kind of seems weird to me, that there's even a list of those people, but that was supposed to be released way earlier this year, and it hasn't been released yet. That's pretty much all I know.
Well, the release has been called they've been calling to release it since Joe Biden was president. Actually, they've been calling to release it since Donald Trump was first president, because it was in the last year of his presidency that Jeffrey Epstein was picked up and was arrested and charged. So it is it's really interesting to see how far we are, because that was 6 years ago, and we're just now coming to a full release. Like they've been leaking things for for years now. The Congress has been leaking documents as long as Trump's been in office, and there was a couple leaks, quote unquote, back during COVID, that got people like really like that, gave them their first little there could be something here. There could be something here.
Did they get any names from those files?
See, I saw a few
Names?
names,
Okay.
right, but then there was this whole what I saw was there was this whole obfuscation campaign, like this isn't even the real stuff, right? They're gonna release the whole thing, don't worry, which is false. They haven't released the whole thing. They've been releasing like little emails. The most recent development in the story was the super big leak from members of the House, from Democratic members of the House Oversight Committee, releasing emails that mention President Donald Trump by name, mentioning that he spent time with one of the victims, whose name in the official release is redacted.
Okay.
They said that he knew about the girls. Yeah, that he knew. That's why he asked Ghislaine, the Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend and partner in literal partner in crime. That's why he asked Ghislaine to stop. That's a quote.
To stop
Recruiting girls from Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort, because that's what they were doing. They were
Okay.
taking girls from her. They were taking kids from him.
That's interesting. Wait, okay. Why were they at Trump's place though?
Well, so there have been a lot of speculation about that. I have seen a lot of speculation about that, because there are a lot of people that go to a picture of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein from back in the 90s. It was like 93. There was a video of Trump and Epstein joking around, laughing at a party somewhere. And the narrative that you hear from a lot of left-leaning sources is that they were good friends.
Okay.
What's interesting is that there's a property not far from Mar-a-Lago that in I believe it was 2004, Trump and Epstein were both bidding on, and Trump won the bid at $41 million. And that's what stopped them. That's what stopped the conversation between them. Interestingly enough, 2005 was when they first picked up Jeffrey Epstein. Like I said before, when they first picked up Epstein for solicitation of prostitution, because
When was that purchase? Just real fast.
that purchase was in 2004.
Okay. All right.
And then 2005 was the first official time that one of the victims, a 14-year-old girl at the time, reported him. Her family reported him for sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, and that's what led him to, and that led to a rather controversial plea deal. Because they picked him up, they arrested him, they charged him. He didn't serve his full sentence. He got out in a controversial deal, and then they picked him up. They arrested him again. They were investigating him again for a couple of years, and so in May 2006, the police in Palm Beach signed paperwork, and I'm reading this from AP News. May 2006, Palm Beach police officials signed paperwork to charge Epstein with multiple counts of unlawful coitus with a minor, but the county's top prosecutor, state attorney Barry Kreischer, takes the unusual step of sending the case to a grand jury. So instead of just charging the man there, the county prosecutor, state attorney Barry Kreischer sends it to a grand jury. Well, July of 2006, he's arrested after a grand jury indicts him on one single count of soliciting prostitution. The relatively minor charge draws almost immediate attention from critics, including Palm Beach police leaders who assail Kreischer publicly and accuse him of giving Epstein special treatment. The FBI begins an investigation, and in 2007, they prepare another indictment against Epstein. But for a year, for an entire year, his lawyers are talking with the U.S. attorney in Miami, Alexander Acosta. Keep that in mind, because he comes in later in Trump's first administration.
Okay.
So they're talking to his lawyers are talking to Alexander Acosta about a plea bargain that would allow Epstein to avoid a federal prosecution. Epstein's lawyers decry his accusers as unreliable witnesses. Can you imagine that? Like, you're 14, 15 years old. Like, I saw one source that said that these girls were from ages 11 to 17, and there weren't just girls, there were guys too. There were boys involved in this.
Yeah.
What you're called an unreliable witness.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so what year was that? That
was 2007 that they figured it out.
Oh, that they were doing what
year was that they started working on the plea deal.
And that was when they said stuff about the witnesses being unreliable.
Witnesses, yeah, his accusers were unreliable witnesses.
I'm just wondering, because I don't know, what was Jeffrey Epstein's thing other than this? Like, if nobody knew about his crime, like what was he?
He was a money manager.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's a big accountant, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just, man, part of me is kind of just thinking, man, well, I mean, there is always that chance, because I think of like the Me Too movement, and it feels like a lot of false accusations came out of that. And I do think that if somebody had motive to get this guy put away, then I don't. It doesn't seem too far-fetched to me that they could have easily just made up witnesses and people could have just stepped forward and said things. But now, that's just an idea. If you were a victim and you get called an unreliable witness, then that is...
Could you imagine that? This guy, like, you just had some of the worst trauma of your life inflicted on you.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're being treated like the Me Too, like you're being treated as if you're just trying to get something out of this guy.
Yeah, it's hard. It's impossible, I think, for me right now to make a determination either way on that, because I'm like, with people that have that much money, you just never know what's really going on, and if maybe the whole thing is just manufactured to justify getting rid of him. Maybe it's all real, and they're literally trying to keep the list from getting out because they're afraid of what people will find on it because it's that bad.
See, I'm starting to think that it's less about that and more about stuff that was also going on, right? Because Donald Trump, who's for the entirety of the shutdown, every time he was accused of obfuscation, right? He was accused of playing defense. His administration was playing defense the whole time. Caroline Leavitt, his press secretary, was like, "Isn't it transparent that we're sitting down with congressmen?" While members of his administration were berating Lauren Boebert prevent her from signing the petition, from voting yes to release the files. Kash Patel, FBI director, who's turning into a bit of an embarrassment. I'm going to use the E word. He is embarrassing us as an FBI director.
Oh my gosh.
Did you see him sitting before Congress about the Epstein files?
No, I don't know. I don't think I have.
The dude did not answer a single question.
Oh, you know what?
They would ask him like, it was your job to, well, okay, he answered a couple questions, right? He answered whether or not it was his job to read the files. He said, yes, no, it's my job. And they're like, did you see President Trump's name on it? He's like, how dare you sit up there and accuse me of
Yikes.
how dare you can sit up there and accuse me of holding secrets and protecting pedophiles when I'm trying to do my job to make this place safer. Well, what have you done? What have you done to enforce the law to make this place a safer?
Okay, that's actually
safer place to live.
Horrifying. If you answer a question with "How dare you,"
Yeah,
I am immediately gonna put you on the naughty list.
like what are you hiding at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like I guarantee, like at that point, okay, yeah, his name's on there. Okay, like what else? What else is new? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, then what even? Like, what even happens if someone's name is on here? Like, is there going to be actual prosecution for any of this?
Not if Kash Patel's the FBI director. Dude, he sent a SWAT team to protect his girlfriend.
Oh, was she?
No,
threatened?
she was not threatening anybody. That people were making fun of him. People were pointing out like he was using government resources to take an FBI private jet to go see her, to take her to a wrestling event and to take her back to Nashville because she's a country singer, and then take that private jet back to his legal residence in L.A. all the way back to Washington where he's working. And people were pointing that out. And this dude's like, it is so wrong of you to be so rude to my girlfriend. And it's like, dude, we're not being mean.
What?
They're not being rude to your girlfriend. They're making fun of you. They're pointing out that you're wasting government resources. You're misappropriating resources.
That is crazy. I'm not like a crazy climate guy, but
Yeah.
man, I just think about, man, if you're just making 3 trips in your private jet in a day, I think that's pretty reasonably wasteful.
Yeah, and it's like it's the fuel. It's a couple $1,000s every trip, right? It's not a couple $1,000s a day. It's a couple thousand every trip. So it's like you're pouring government resources, and then you're misappropriating resources. You're not doing your job, right? You're working as Trump's personal special counsel, basically. You're working as his personal private detective. And you have the audacity to sit there when you're asked a very simple question: is the president's name on a list of people who were soliciting the prostitution of trafficked minors? And you have the audacity to sit there and say, how dare you accuse me of not doing my job? I'm doing my job. I'm making this place safer.
Man, I wonder when people will learn that just answering a question, at the very least answering it, sounds better than like deflecting and throwing accusations out. When will people ever learn that?
Yeah. See, here's the thing too, is the Biden administration were also getting questions, right? But I looked into it and I couldn't find a lot. I couldn't find a lot of articles left that were pointing out that the Biden administration wasn't releasing these things, right? People kept asking, where are the Epstein files? And here's where it gets tricky, right? Here's where it gets tricky. It is now 2024, right? 2023, 2024.
In your timeline?
In the timeline,
Okay.
yeah. And Donald Trump is running for re-election, right? Not necessarily re-elect. It's re-election. He's not incumbent, but he's running to be reelected. And he and JD Vance and Kash Patel are going on podcasts. They're standing up at rallies. Like, release the files. They campaign on the files. We are going to release the files. We're going to get justice for the victims. And guess what happens? They get into office. Rumors start flying that his name's on the list. And where are we, Ben? We are half a year in, a whole government shutdown. And it's taken a petition vote. It's taken a petition to get a vote onto the floor of Congress to get the Department of Justice and the courts to release the files.
How split is this along party lines, the vote?
So in the House Oversight Committee, House Rules Committee, I think it was party lines. It was 8-4 in the Republican-controlled committee. 4 votes for the Democrats, and the Democrats were the ones who released the emails that I was talking about before that mentioned Trump by name.
So are they advocating to not release them?
No, the Republicans were.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So here's where it gets interesting. Here's where it gets really interesting. So, we talked about Adelita Grijalva last week, right? The congresswoman
in Arizona.
In Arizona.
Yeah.
That Speaker Mike Johnson said, "Oh, she needs a pomp and circumstance," and she's like, "No, I don't." Well, she was finally sworn in a few days ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the whole time it was making a speech about how the speaker didn't want to release the files. Her first act of Congress, sign the petition, becoming the 218th signature. This petition that was actually led by a Republican, Thomas Massey, who's actually turned it into a libertarian stud, dude.
A libertarian what?
Stud, like
he's
like
awesome?
a star.
Okay.
He's really awesome.
All right.
He's not as popular as I think he should be, but he doesn't. Actually, we'll stick to the timeline here because
okay.
we're gonna get into a little bit about what gives him his credibility over some.
Okay.
But he led a bipartisan effort to get this petition to bring the issue to a vote, right? To bring it to the floor. And he led it with Democrat Ro Khanna, and I don't know if I said that name right. It's how it's spelled, but they led the effort to bring the bill to the floor. And when this episode drops on Tuesday, November 18th, they're gonna vote for it. They're gonna vote on it, and that's when you're gonna see, okay, what's this really about? Is this about protecting the victims? Is this about protecting the vulnerable? Is this about getting victory to those who were victims of trafficking, of prostitution, and of beratement, and who were dehumanized for the sexual gratification of a handful of rich pedophiles? Or is it a political gambit?
This is so weird because I think that as far as people go, just regular people, right or left, we're not really in disagreement over wanting the files to be released.
Yeah.
That I would be hard pressed to find a group of people that really want them to not be released because that's crazy. But then all of a sudden in the government, that's where you have the divide, and that's like a pretty clear misrepresentation of the people, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. You know what? And you raise a good point. Interestingly enough, the party that's pushing to have them released is not the party that's in the White House, right? The party that's playing defense and saying, "Oh well, we're having issues with the juries and the courts, and no, we can't release it if the court doesn't let us," is the party with control over the files. So you got to think about it. Like, why is that?
Yeah.
Is it, what is this truly about? And that's part of why I'm saying tomorrow we're gonna figure out if it's what it's truly about. Is it about protecting the innocent? If it's about getting victory for the vulnerable,
Yeah.
or is it a political game?
Yeah. Is it? Is our government even real at this point? Like, what is even happening? Like, does America even exist? Like, I mean, that's our government is just, it never ceases to amaze me with just how like every time you think that they've reached a new tier of partisanship and just being divided, then they go ahead and surprise you with another one that's even more ridiculous than the last. And this is crazy to be divided along party lines, especially with the sides that there are. It's kind of surprising me who's on what side. And it's over releasing files that probably should have been made available to the public a long time ago.
Yes. Well, and that's something that I'm reading here on AP's timeline, is that in so in 2022, that's when Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's partner in crime, was sentenced. In 2024, public interest surges after, and this is January 24, a judge unseals thousands of pages of court records in a civil lawsuit involving one of the victims. Almost all of the information was already public, and people are like starting to get a little bummed. They're like, "Oh, what's going on here?" 2024, Donald Trump in his campaign suggests during his campaign that he'd seek to open the government's Epstein files. And in February of this year, Attorney General Pam Bondi suggests in a Fox News Channel interview that an Epstein client list is sitting on her desk. The Justice Department distributes binders marked declassified to far-right influencers at the White House, but it quickly becomes clear that much of the information had long been in the public domain. So it's like the information that they're teasing is already there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And this is, so the information that's already there, this was like a client list
I
or
don't know.
some of it or something?
Because that was released during COVID. Like there was a little bit of a client list. That was the teaser that got everybody like, oh, all right.
Is this really
All right.
is our government maybe just here for entertainment at this point? Because a teaser, really? They released a teaser?
You ready for this? You ready for this? July 7th, 2025, the Justice Department says Epstein didn't maintain a, quote, client list, and it won't make any more files related to his coitus trafficking investigation public.
Huh. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
that's
Is it?
is this?
So is
Plot
it really? Is there really something there? Is there really something there? And this whole thing is really about protecting these girls and protecting these boys that were abused and trafficked, or is it a political gambit?
Yeah, I feel like there's a chance that they stumbled upon this whole thing and both sides, the left and the right, saw the Epstein drama that was going on and just thought, we could use this for years and years and years. We will still be tossing this around 80 years from now. This is a jackpot of rage bait to just further divide America, because by golly, dividing America is fun.
I'm looking at this, dude. To make so things start to get a little interesting here. So July 17th is when the Wall Street Journal describes a suggestive letter that the newspaper says bore Trump's name and was included in a 2003 album for Epstein's 50th birthday. Trump denies writing the letter, calling it false, malicious, and defamatory. He sues the paper next day and media mogul Rupert Murdoch. July 18th, the next day, the administration asks a federal court to unseal grand jury transcripts related to Epstein's case in an effort to put a political crisis to rest. July 23rd, a judge rejects the Trump administration's request to unseal transcripts from the Epstein grand jury investigation in Florida, but similar requests for grand jury transcripts in the cases against Epstein and Maxwell in New York remain pending. Meanwhile, a House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena the Justice Department for files. The full committee issued a subpoena for Maxwell to testify before the committee officials in August. So, all right. So now we start to see the political game, because Democrats have been saying throughout the whole shutdown, this shutdown is over healthcare, and some are saying this shutdown is to distract you from the Epstein files. And here's the Trump administration back in July requesting that the courts make this public, that they release it, that they unseal these documents. Well, okay, I'm not seeing Donald Trump playing defense. When he starts to play defenses during the shutdown, this is where it gets like I said, this is where it gets interesting, because he's not playing defense up until July, but then September rolls around and the government shuts down, right? Adelita Grijalva isn't sworn in. So now they're like, oh, Speaker Mike Johnson's playing catch up for Trump, and he's keeping a vote off the floor about the Epstein files, and he's the Republicans don't want it. Well, Grijalva's sworn in that same session. Arkansas Representative Tim Burchett goes before the House and says, I would like to move for an immediate vote on the Epstein files, on the release of the Epstein files. To which the Speaker pro temp from the stand says, the representative knows that we cannot do that without unanimous consent. So Burchett says, since and this is where the total political gambit comes in. Since Republicans are the ones who proposed the measure, is it Democrats that got in the way? And the pro tempore is like, no, it's not. We can't tell you that. Well, then Donald Trump starts telling people that this whole time he's telling people it's a hoax, right? Get away from it. Stop going.
That the Epstein files was a hoax?
Yeah, well, so there's a lot of people that are saying, there's a few people that are saying that he's calling the narrative that he's on the list a hoax, that he's in the files a hoax. Okay. But then he goes out and calls it, are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? The Democrat hoax on Jeffrey Epstein? Are we still talking about that? Are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Are we still talking about this? I don't know why we're still talking about this. It's a hoax. It's a dangerous Democrat hoax designed to distract you from the fact that they're not opening up the government. The radical left shutdown. That's what they're calling it. That's what he called it.
Maybe this whole thing is to just distract us from actual things that the government is supposed to be doing. We're getting all distracted by this. It's a gigantic case, but we're getting distracted by it anyways. And what else is going on behind the scenes? Like, what's going on aside from the government shutdown and Epstein files?
What's going on? Glad you asked. The Times of Israel reported back in March, like right when this is all kicking in, right? They're arguing over government funding. Reported that the U.S. is moving to expedite delivery of $4 billion in military aid to Israel. That was Secretary Marco Rubio who negotiated that.
Well, I don't know if I've said this before, but if if Israel really still is the chosen people of God, they clearly do not need U.S. intervention.
Nope.
They clearly don't need any intervention. So really, I feel like if they're the chosen people of God, we should advocate that everyone stops sending aid, and then God will just make Israel happen.
Yep. So I'd be careful with that. But I agree. If this is truly the people of Israel, then prophecy's already being fulfilled, right? We're in the end
What do you
times.
mean?
Like, well, part of the end time prophecy, right? The children of Israel will be restored to the land or to the new Jerusalem, right?
Wait, in which where is that?
I believe that's Revelation. You can correct me.
Whoa.
But that's part of it. Is like
Where?
they'll be reconnected. But first, they're going to build the new temple, right? And that's where the Antichrist is going to sit.
Do you have an idea of where that is in Revelation?
No, I have no
Okay.
idea.
Trying to get out the old.
I've
web
been caught
browser.
off guard.
Oh, so yeah, I don't know. I came out a little bit intense
Goodness
there,
gracious.
but that is kind of my
No.
stance. Is like, well, God will restore them if that's what's gonna happen.
Yep. So all this is going down, and here we are sending $44 billion to Israel. And then I saw somewhere, yep, U.S. Department of State back on March 1st. I have signed a declaration to use emergency authorities to expedite the delivery of approximately $4 billion in military assistance to go kill innocent women and children. Now, I had a really awesome talk today.
Okay.
Innocent women and children in Gaza. That's where that
Okay.
money's going.
All right.
Give them rockets.
Well, yeah.
Give them grenades.
Yeah. What? That whole thing is just ridiculous. Anyways.
I did see this though. You can't blame them all, right? You can't blame the 21-year-old kid who's in his forced military IDF service because he's just doing what he's told to do.
Yeah, no, you can't blame soldiers.
Yeah.
I mean, in most cases, there's been stories of some that are just off the rails, but you can't blame soldiers for what they're out there doing because they're fighting for their country.
Yeah. You can blame the establishment.
Yeah. Just like the Vietnam War. That everyone got so mad at the soldiers for it, and it's like that's not even who you should be mad at.
We had no reason being there anyway.
And
Like
the
we went
soldiers
there to
have no
fight
choice.
communism because the foreign banks don't like because the foreign banking cartel that has control over our economy doesn't like communism. I don't like communism because it subverts God. In reality, communism could work if it kept Christ as God and not the government. But it doesn't ever work because it tries to subvert God. Tries to subvert Christ with the government.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
that's a little lesson in economics there.
So what else do we have going on behind the shutdown and the Epstein files? Do you know anything else that our government has been doing? Or really any government for that matter?
I mean, weird deals with Argentina.
Ooh, that's something I have never heard of.
I don't know enough about that to talk about it. I do know that there's a lot of money going there to pay off all their debts.
To pay off their debts?
Yeah, pay off their debts.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Argentina.
Argentina. That's pretty random.
I guess not.
It's,
But
it's 'cause
here's
Hitler
the
lived
big
there,
one.
isn't it?
Here's the big one though, is they are also, while the shutdown's going, they are attacking American public lands. Like they are trying to get rid of 240 million acres for like roads and fracking and energy.
And this is, are we using up BLM, Bureau of Land Management lands?
The Bureau of Land Management is looking to.
Oh, they're expanding how much land they have, or
No. They're looking to install like fracking and they're looking to build roads.
Well, at least
So,
they're doing something with it.
dude, those lands, man, those I'll give you a perfect example of why it's a terrible idea.
Okay.
Terrible idea. In outside of Gardnerville, New Mexico, or Nevada. Gardnerville, Nevada is a couple 100,000 to or a couple million acre, no, a couple 100,000 acres of BLM land, and that land is devoted to the wild horse population. Right, wild land, keeping public lands number one. Number one promotes the number one promotes the stewardship of wildlife.
So you support the BLM?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Not necessarily, not the BLM, but public lands. I don't
Okay.
support the Bureau.
Because I'm just thinking of like stories of that they would go in and just wipe out cattle herds, and
Yeah.
then like the farmer would be forced to sell their land to them and stuff like that, and the amount of
Yeah.
land that they own. I'm like,
No,
There's
I
no
despise
reason.
I despise the BLM itself.
this is why we have national forests, national grasslands, national parks. That's
Yep.
why we have that. You don't. I don't know.
So I am a Rooseveltian conservationist.
Oh, wow,
Whereas,
that's a term.
yeah,
All right. What does that mean?
Theodore Roosevelt was Theodore Roosevelt Jr. became president. But before he was ever president, before he was ever vice president, he was an avid outdoorsman. He was an avid sportsman, an avid hunter. He owned a cattle ranch in the Black Hills, in the Badlands. He owned, the Black Hills. He owned. He would go out on hunting expeditions and just kill. Growing up, he was into taxidermy. When he was an adult, he founded the Boone and Crockett Club. The Boone and Crockett Club is one of the most premier conservatory hunting guilds and conservation organizations in the country. Even though, Daniel Boone and David Crockett were both sport hunters, or they weren't sport hunters; they were commercial hunters, commodity hunters. So they killed for fur. But Boone and Crockett was avid outdoorsmen, avid sportsmen, trappers, men who loved the outdoors, and that's what we get with the men who loved wildlife, who advocated for conservation at a time when that was wildly unpopular.
So wait, okay. So these guys who just went out and hunted all the time they were advocating
Yeah.
for conserving wildlife.
Yeah, because they were starting to see what happens when you overhunt,
Okay.
right? Eventually they shot the last buffalo, right? Eventually they shot the last bison. They're like, they thought they had migrated up into Canada or down into Mexico, but they shot the last one.
We have them in North Dakota.
Those are cloned.
Cloned.
Yeah.
They've had them for ages up there.
Well, a lot of the new herds are cloned.
Like, what do you mean by cloned?
Like cloned, actually.
Like,
at CSU, yeah, CSU had a bison cloning facility.
well, I'm talking about the wild ones that are.
Well, no, most of them aren't wild anymore.
Well, most of them probably not, but like in North Dakota, we always used to see them out, just like they'd be crossing the road, especially up in the Badlands.
Yeah, no, they had, again, took some serious conservation, but they had to restore the herds, and a large part of that came from cloning in the last 50 years.
Does that make them not legitimate?
It's not that they're not legitimate. It's just like that. I don't know that you could have rebuilt the herd without a couple wild ones, but you had to take them into domestication in order to protect them, because you had the native populations that were just killing them off. The U.S. government was encouraging the Sioux to go out and just slaughter buffalo.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Then you had fur trappers who were just shooting them and skinning them, leaving them for dead, leading them to rot. You had target shooters who were just shooting them just to shoot them.
Well,
Yeah. So obviously, I'm not against that. when it comes to wildlife management, the best thing that we have ever come up with, in my opinion, is regulated hunting. Regulating hunting is the greatest form of conservation that we've ever come up with. And part of regulated hunting is maintaining public lands where you can go hunt, you can go fish, you can hike, you can hop on your ATVs and you can go out and make noise and kick up dust if you want. I've done it before. It's pretty fun out in the wild horse range, but there's people that are dumb and drive their ATVs right into the herds. Like, don't be stupid, dude. Respect your wildlife.
So then you're saying it's bad, so they're going into the BLM lands and just putting in infrastructure projects?
Yeah, so in the Everglades have a no roads rule.
Oh, okay.
And there are members of Congress, and I think his name is Randy Fine. Don't quote me on him.
All right.
But there's a gentleman I love watching his stuff. He's on Instagram, UNC Pappy. He's hilarious. He's just this awesome old man. He goes out and he wades into the water of the Everglades, and he talks about wild land conservation. And I love him. And he is on point with this stuff. If you're listening, go look him up if you want to learn a little bit more about what the BLM is trying to do to our public lands, because they don't care.
Can we get a name? Can we get his name one more time?
Yeah, unc.pappy, Unc Pappy.
Okay, all right. Unc Pappy.
Yeah, I don't know what his actual name is.
Crazy. But they can look him up like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Uncle Pappy
is
what he shows up on Instagram as.
2 terms of endearment.
He gets a little out there sometimes, and because he's a little bit of a he's a worldly dude, but he is usually on point when it comes to political structures, when it comes to what they're doing with public lands, what they're trying to do with the alligator Alcatraz, which I have no idea.
That was a weird story to hear about.
Yeah,
it's just I don't even know what. I guess I get that you gotta bring deportees. Is that the word for that? Like, yeah, people who are being deported, you gotta put them somewhere for a time, I guess. But I don't know. That's kind of in the Everglades, isn't? I guess in the Everglades, maybe that's like you're not gonna escape because you don't want to go out there and brave the Everglades, do you?
Yeah,
but so they're building roads in the Everglades.
Well, they're doing everything. They're just destroying the Everglades. They're trying to. So while this shut down, so Uncle Pappy did a perfect video on this just a couple days ago. He's like, hey, look over here, shut down, oh no, SNAP benefits. And while you were looking over here, these dirty politicians and their fossil fuel money and their roads are coming through the Everglades, and they're trying to shut us down, man. They're trying to shut us down.
So what would you say is a motive to just go out and use up land? Just like, what would be the
money?
Okay.
Money, oil.
Well, there
gas. Oil, gas,
I can definitely
roads.
see that. I was wondering about roads because I'm pretty sure those are costly.
And here's the big one. Building. They just want to build, dude. Really? Developers want to go in. They want to log. Oh. They want to build houses. They want to build apartment complexes. They want to build hotels and mountain resorts. They want to build because they want to make money. And if they make money, then the economy makes money. The local, the town makes money. The county makes money. The state makes money. And the state doesn't make nearly as much money on national parks as they do, and on state parks as they do on ski resorts and on dude ranches and
dude ranches. What?
Like, you go and you stay on a ranch and and they take you on horseback riding.
Okay, it's like resort stuff.
Yeah, resort stuff.
Well, yeah, because you don't have to worry about conservation over the area of like a little ranch or a little ski resort.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, you have the actual ranchers who rely on that public land to feed their cows.
They're bringing their cows out there.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
I didn't know that's how that works.
You have to have a lease with the BLM. Have to have a lease in most cases, and
Okay.
in a lot of
That sounds like that.
I know some folks that push cows up into the national forest
Ooh,
in the fall.
is that legal?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You lease it. You lease
Okay.
it. You pay for the privilege.
Now that sounds a little bit weird to me, though. Of like, the BLM came in and swiped all this land, and then now you gotta rent it to bring your cows out there and eat grass. That sounds like a little bit of like
It's a little fishy, huh?
that was kind of fishy.
A little weird.
Like,
a little iffy.
Like public lands, like we already pay taxes. That's kind of my thought. Well, you already pay taxes. Do you really have to do that?
Yeah. And that's just it. Well, again, environmental, right? These cows are going up. They're pulling up grass. They're clearing brush. You gotta think of the ecosystem. That's understandable.
Yeah.
But you know what's not understandable? Clearing 240 million acres of farmland, of public lands that people hunt on, they fish on, they hike on, they feed their cows, they go into national forests and in national parks and they enjoy the wildlife. These reserves, and they go onto these reserves to see these protected wildlife that won't exist anywhere else. And you want to take 250 million acres, right? Not exactly a lot in the grand scheme of the nation, but when you think of 240 million of anything, that's a lot. Have you ever seen an acre, Ben?
I have visualized it once.
An acre's big.
It's decently large.
It's pretty big. Now picture 240 million of those.
Yeah.
You can't even see that far.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So that's happening while the during the shutdown?
They've been trying to work on it during the shutdown. Yeah.
Oh. So were they able to fund that purchasing?
No, well,
or was it even purchasing? I guess
they
if
were
it's
trying
the
to
BLM.
they were lobbying. They were lobbying for it.
Oh, so
that's
this isn't
where
the government that it's just developers.
This is government people that are coming for it. This is government representatives.
Oh.
Florida representatives are coming after the Everglades.
So like
on
straight
behalf
up
of
conflict of interest.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Because when we start talking about, I would actually feel better if it was developers that were lobbying for this stuff, and if it was just developers.
Yeah.
When you start hearing that it's developers and politicians, then it's like, oh, and that's why I-25 takes so long to get done.
Mm-hmm. It's all politics. It's all who's got
cursed.
the money. It's all who has the money. It's all where they want to spend the money.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with you and I. It's got nothing to do with conservation. It's got nothing to do with environmentalism. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's all got to do with who's got the money and what do they want to spend it on.
And this is why big government sucks.
Big government does suck.
Yeah. Well, what do you think?
I liked it, dude. I'm excited to see how they vote. I will be tuning in. I hope that you will too. If you're listening to this before the vote, be sure to listen in and shoot us your feedback. Shoot us what you think. We'd love to hear from you, as you'll hear in a minute. But I'm gonna pray real quick. I'm gonna pray over this vote that we see justice done for the victims. Father God, Lord, you are master and commander of every event that's going on in our legislature, Lord, and in our country right now. And Father, in a time when we're so divided, and we finally have a ray of hope of something to unite behind and to solidify our hope in humanity, Lord, that that these young women and young men that were abused and hurt and traumatized for so many years, these victims have suffered, Father. But we hope for victory for the vulnerable tomorrow. We hope for justice for all of these young men and women that were hurt. We pray that those who hurt them will be brought to justice, they will be held accountable, Lord. That yours is the retribution, yours is the revenge, that yours is vengeance, Lord. Lord, you are God and God alone. We trust you, Lord Jesus, and we pray this in your mighty name. Amen. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
We would love to hear your feedback, so please feel free to reach out. Our email, tuesdaythingpod@gmail.com, is listed below. You can also reach us on Instagram by searching @That's a Tuesday Thing. We look forward to hearing from you. Shout out to CJ Clayton Jr. for the music. Go check him out on Spotify. In the meantime, we love you, God loves you, and we hope to see you next time.